Welcome back, everyone, to KeithTalks. I just wanted to say thanks again to everybody for listening. I appreciate it, and yeah, I've just been having a great time talking to you guys, even if not that many people are listening. It just makes me happy. So today I wanted to talk about my experiences in the restaurant business, and I know I've talked about it, I think I talked about it the last episode and maybe even a little bit the episode before that. But, I just figured we could go more in depth and share some stories maybe. So I will start with the fact that I have worked in a restaurant since I was 16 years old. My first legal job was working at a restaurant as a busboy, and from day one it is the worst place you can probably work ever. So my bosses there, they were a couple. Okay, fine. There was a small business, obviously, just one little place in like a very small shopping plaza, and so the way that we cut ties, which, of course, we cut ties. It's been almost 10 years now. I was pretty much taken off the schedule. Now, mind you, the way that I started at this place was I was the only busboy. Literally, my first day, it was me and the barback was training me. He did not normally bus, but he was training me that day. And then after that, he trained me that one day, I was alone as a busboy for, I think, probably a month or two. And then, once they started hiring more busboys, they were having me make the schedule for the busboys, which, okay, fine, whatever. I don't care. Honestly, I kind of had fun making the schedule for them. Like, it was pretty much always the same, and then people would just reach out to me if I needed to, change the hours that they were working. Like, say if somebody needed coverage on a Thursday, then I would text our group chat and be like, hey, so-and-so needs Thursday off. Can anybody work? And if not, I would work it, or, whatever. And then, it was, I think the week of or the week before Christmas was when we had our falling out. And my boss pretty much took me off the schedule that he also took away from me. Like, he said to me one day, like, oh, I don't want you making the schedule anymore. And I was like, all right, whatever, that's fine. And then, he pretty much just took me off. I think I worked one Friday night that week, and it wasn't because I couldn't work or didn't want to work. It was because he didn't want me on the schedule anymore, and I honestly don't have a reason to this day why he would want me off the schedule, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. So then the next week, he didn't have me on at all. So I was like, hey, listen, I need to work. Like, if you want me to stick around, I need to work. Like, I can't just not, obviously it wasn't as serious as working is now, but still, I'm pretty much just losing money. You know what I mean? Like, I know I was just 16, but I was paying my car insurance immediately once I started driving. I was getting gas. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I'm notoriously bad with money when I have a love interest in my life. And so that's how we had our falling out, was he refused to put me back on the schedule. So I quit that day. I was like, all right, well, I'm not coming back then. Have a good one. And then he sent me a long text saying I'm an asshole and he can't believe that I'm doing this to him and blah, 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 blah. Like I'm the one who did him wrong, but whatever. So then, I worked at a movie theater for a little bit, and that was whatever. And then after that, I went to another restaurant, which is the one that I was there for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So basically, it was another family-owned restaurant. It was a little bit bigger. It was like a half restaurant, half like takeout counter. And so basically, I started there as one of the takeout people. It was also like a prepared foods counter, like at a grocery store. You have like a deli case with like chicken salad and tuna salad and shit. So there was something like that too, and that's how I started. I think I was still 16, maybe I was 17 at that point, but nonetheless, that's where I started, and then I worked as that for I don't know, 6 months, and then yeah, they had me move back into the kitchen, not yet on the line, but I was the expediter, which meant that I was passing out the food to both the restaurant and to the deli, which, okay, fine. That was an alright gig. I didn't have to talk to anybody anymore, and it was, a little more chill. And then eventually, their sandwich guy, he quit. So I asked the chef. I was like, "Hey, if you want, like, I don't want to do it all the time, but if you want me to, I'll pick up a couple of shifts doing sandwiches. It seems easy enough." And so that's what he had me do. I joined the sandwich line to start, and then honestly, that was probably the worst decision I ever made. The days that I would work on the sandwich line were days where I wouldn't eat because I was so anxious about going back on the line, because it wasn't just sandwiches. If it was lobster season, I was the guy making the lobsters. If it was, so that means in the middle of a dinner rush, if we ran out of stuffed lobsters, I would be cracking lobsters open and killing them, and then stuffing them and cooking them in the middle of a dinner rush. Not prepared stuffed lobsters. I would be making them as needed, and it's a very, if you've never worked in a kitchen, it's very stressful, very, very stressful. And so that's where I started on the line, was making sandwiches and salads and, pretty much the basic shit. And then eventually I was doing more fry cook and grill cook things. Not everything, because the way their line worked was kind of weird. The guy in the middle who was calling out the orders that we needed at the time, he also would do grill, and he would drop the pasta and stuff because it was an Italian place. But it's crazy. It's crazy on the restaurant line. Absolutely insane. But there is one good thing that came out of the restaurant, and it is my wife. That's where I met her. And yeah, that's, if it wasn't for them, that's, I'd still be single and depressed and a stoner, and but luckily I met her. And actually, we had just, when I met her, she was only there for a couple of days when we started talking, but our manager had just left, the restaurant manager, so the person who basically handled the dining room portion of the restaurant. So yeah, she had just left, and they had just hired a new person to do it. And the person that they hired was a little bit strange, to put it nicely. She was she looked like a drug addict, frankly, and not like a stoner, not like anything simple like that. She looked like she was doing like hardcore drugs, and you know what? Honestly, whatever. As long as you're not bringing that shit into work, I know it's not my place. It's just not the best look for a restaurant, but whatever. They probably couldn't find anybody, so that's on them. That's fine. So this manager was also very strange personality-wise. She would just walk up to you and then start like laughing for no reason, not like overhearing your conversation or anything. She would just she was creepy and scary, and I did not like her one bit. But I especially didn't like her once she found out that me and my wife were talking, and she took it upon herself to find my phone number and text me a whole bunch of things saying basically, hey, this is the manager. I heard about you and your wife, and you're not good enough for her. She deserves to be treated like a princess. I know about your checkered past and how you're bipolar, which I'm not bipolar. I mean, at least not diagnosed. I definitely have had my anger issues in the past, but I wouldn't say that I should be checked to be bipolar or not. But and then she basically went on and she was calling me like a piece of shit and saying that I'm a terrible person and that my wife is God's gift to earth, which she's an amazing woman, and she's my gift from God, I would say. But I don't think that the manager had any right to say anything about her. She had only met her a couple of days before I did. And then she was like, yeah, we need to meet up and talk. And I was like, I'm not meeting up and talking with you. And she was like, yeah, come to this place in the city and we'll meet up and we'll talk, because you can't be with her. You're not good enough for her, and blah, blah, blah. And so basically, I obviously did not go meet up with her. I actually went and met up with my wife, and that was the first night that we had a sleepover, because I think we trauma bonded over it, just because it was such a strange and shitty circumstance that we were going through together for no reason. So I screenshotted everything that she had said to me, and I showed the owners, like, hey, this is what she said. This is exactly what she said, and how she's been harassing me pretty much all weekend, and blah, blah, blah. And then the owners were like, oh, well, that's not her phone number. And I was like, okay, so she probably used a texting app or something, like I don't know if you know this, but if you go to like WhatsApp, you can just send a message from a random number, and then it's like untraceable. So then they were like, oh yeah, we can't do anything because, we don't know that it's her. It's not her phone number. So they reported it to the police, I believe. And then the police told us that it was untraceable and they couldn't do anything about it. And they still chose to not believe me. And then they were saying that it was my wife who did it. They were saying that I was the one who did it, not the manager that they had just met, who looked like a drug addict. They were saying that we were doing it to, I don't know, try and get her fired or something, which I was kind of trying to get her fired, but I wasn't the one who sent the messages to myself. I think that would be a little ridiculous. And so, yeah, so I don't remember exactly how it ended, but I know that before I left, probably a month or two after that, I left the restaurant. And then my wife was still there, probably 6 months, I think. And then I don't remember how the manager left, but I know for a fact that she got fired. And I don't remember exactly why, but in my head, when I heard that she got fired from my wife, I was like, isn't that crazy that they chose to trust the manager that they had known for less than a month over the guy who had been there for 4+ years and the girl that he, started dating? Like, I don't know. In my head, it was a little ridiculous of them. And then they got their comeuppance, apparently, because they're still without a restaurant manager, as far as I know. So that means the owner has been picking up the slack, which, whatever. She wasn't any better anyways, but whatever. Yeah, so that's the story of the crazy restaurant manager who tried to break us up and accidentally pushed us closer together. And now we're getting married in 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. So, yeah, very exciting. So, yeah. And then after I left that restaurant, I didn't learn my lesson, and I went to a chain restaurant. It was Chili's. And I wanted to be a server instead of, working on the line or working in the kitchen, and of course they don't really hire servers from people who just have restaurant experience in general. You kind of have to be their bitch for a while, and then you can be a server. So that's what I did. I started out as a food runner, and it was terrible. I was making like $200 a week. It was absolutely miserable. And I did that for like 3 months, and then I became a server, and that was also terrible. I did not make that much more money, but honestly, I'm just glad that I got out of that first restaurant, because I don't think that anything they were doing was... everything about them was bad. I actually left there because I was telling them, like, hey, I need a raise. I've been making minimum wage for 4 years, and I get that yearly bump or whatever, but that's the only raise I've gotten. And so then they were like, well, we can give you 50 cents. And I was like, all right, well, I was thinking like $2, because I've been there 4 years. I've taken on a lot of, responsibility. There would be like giant batches of mushroom stuffing, like 100 pounds of mushroom stuffing, and I'd be the guy who makes it. It would take me literally like a full day of working, but no, God forbid I asked for $2 an hour more. It's not like I was getting tips like in the restaurant, or I guess I was also getting delivery money because I was doing big catering deliveries for them, but still, it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for steady money, not $20 here, $20 there, not fucking bullshit. But whatever, that's their loss. I became free of that restaurant, and I went to a possibly worse restaurant. But you know what? At least it was structured at that worst restaurant. I made less money, but it was structured, and some of the people were miserable, but people are miserable anywhere you go. At my current job, everybody's miserable. At my last job, half the people were miserable. There's nothing you can do, you know. Everybody's miserable all the time. It's welcome to middle class America, or even lower class America. Let's be real. But yeah, so that's my restaurant experience. And yeah. So yeah, I wanted to say again, thank you to those of you out there who are listening. I know I'm not the best at this, but honestly, I feel a lot more comfortable with it the more and more I do it. And I've been having a lot of fun talking and sharing my experiences and getting some things off my chest. And so yeah, so I appreciate you guys. And like always, I love you. You're beautiful. And thanks for listening. And I hope you have an amazing night. Editor's note. Yeah, I literally just remembered why the manager left. So basically, she said that she had COVID, and okay, fine. So she called out for 1 day or 2 days or whatever, and then literally like I think a week passed and they still hadn't heard anything from her, which, I mean, I don't know about every state, but in our state, you need a doctor's note if you're going to be out of work for more than like 2 days or something. And I think it's even 2 days. And so obviously when they didn't hear from her, they were reaching out, and they couldn't get a hold of her because she blocked their numbers. And so, yeah, so they never heard from her again except through employees that the manager reached out to and was like, oh, I miss you, and, you know, trying to manipulate them and shit and, you know, whatever. But I just figured I would let you guys know because I literally just remembered that that's what happened. So anyways, thanks again for watching. Love you. Bye.